This video is likely to ruffle some feathers. The 2025 Formula One drivers, how do they rank right now? Let's find out on Formula 454. When I say how do they rank right now, it's because their 2024 performance have a heavy influence on this ranking. Though it's not exclusive to that, I do factor in a lot of other details. I also rank my drivers on a tier list where tier 1 is the highest and tier 5 is the lowest. But first we're going to start off the rookies who are not on a tier list because they just don't have any Formula 1 experience to rank them on. So, starting with the rookies, and in 20th place we have Isaac Hajar, 4 wins and 2nd place in the Formula 2 Drivers' Championship last year. That's very promising. However, he's a bit of a hothead. Definitely known for his swearing and temper over the radio, and that can definitely bite him in the butt in Formula 1, especially with the new rules around swearing and whatnot. Plus, I'm not sure his attitude is going to go very well with Helmut Marko. You get on his bad side, and that isn't great for your Formula 1 career, at least not in previous drivers in previous history. So I'm going to put him dead last. Then we have Jack Doohan at 19th, who has been around for a long time. He's finally getting his shot at Formula 1. He even did a race last year in Abu Dhabi, which honestly wasn't very spectacular. He went nearly a full year without any competitive driving, and that's the worry for me for him. So I think that's going to hurt his career early on, or at least hurt his performances early on. I'm not going to be surprised if he struggles in Formula 1. At 18th, we have Gabriel Bortoleto. Bortoleto? I don't know how to pronounce his name. 2024 Formula 2 champion with just 2 wins in 28 races, though. But he did win the 2023 Formula 3 championship, so he's definitely earned his way into Formula 1. It's quite likely that he'll be at the back of the grid based on the fact that he's going to be in a Sauber. How much can we expect out of that car? So we'll have to grade him based on his performance relative to his teammate, Nico Hülkenberg. So that should be interesting. Next we have Oliver Bearman. He had 7 wins in 2 seasons in Formula 2, though he did miss a bunch of races last year because, well, first, he was forced into racing with Ferrari in short notice because Carlos Sainz had his appendix surgery. And he actually finished 7th that race. Very impressive, especially given the lack of driving he had during that weekend. And then he got put into the Haas later on in the year, and he even scored some points with them. So that's great. So I think he's definitely proved his worth, that he deserves at least a shot at Formula 1. And honestly, I expect him to be pretty impressive in his rookie season. Finally, we have Kimi Antonelli. And honestly, I'm not sold on this kid. There is a tremendous amount of pressure on him, and who knows how he's going to be able to handle it. It certainly could induce a number of mistakes. We'll see on that. I think it's too soon for him to be put into a top team. No question he's going to score the most points out of any rookie, given the fact he's with Mercedes. But will that mean he's going to be the best rookie? I don't know. Time will tell. I do think he has plenty of speed and certainly a lot of potential. So it'll be very interesting to watch how he does throughout the 2025 season. Now, starting off our Tier 5 list, back in 15th place, we have Lance Stroll. Now, it may sound harsh, but Lance Stroll has not improved over his years in Formula 1. At least not enough to move him up past a Tier 5 level. He still makes a bunch of silly mistakes. He's still his speed still isn't quite there, though it's not that bad, but he just can't seem to translate anything into results, even though he has an entire team. We're talking millions and millions of dollars directly around him. He's got every advantage out there, and yet he's just still not performing. He was pretty awful last season. Big surprise. But capping it off was one of the stupidest moments that I can remember ever in Formula 1. At number 14, Liam Lawson. Now, he has had some good performances, but he is a bit erratic. I do like that he isn't afraid to battle with any driver out there. Last year we saw him battling wheel to wheel with Fernando Alonso on a couple of occasions. And I like that he isn't afraid to get his elbows out, but it hasn't really translated in any results. I don't think it's done him much good, and it certainly hasn't made him any friends. So he still has to prove himself, that's for sure. Well, starting our Tier 4 list at 13th is Yuki Tsunoda. And since his rookie season in 2021, Yuki has improved tremendously. And frankly, I believe he deserved the second seat at Red Bull in 2025 alongside Max Verstappen, given that he beat all of his teammates in the last 2 years. But unfortunately, he is still with the RBs once again. Now, fortunately for him, he should be at the number one status within the team, which should be good for him. Now, regardless of how much he has improved, he still hasn't proved to be as good as a lot of the other drivers. Esteban Ocon. Well, he got the boot last year from Alpine. Clearly, they didn't want him. For whatever reason, that relationship got stained, and out he went before the season even ended. Surely, that didn't help his on-track performances. I would have to imagine that Alpine put their efforts into Gasly, which again would not have helped Ocon's results, but a quality a driver has, to some degree at least, is when teams want to invest in them. They want to build around them. And Ocon doesn't have that right now. Plus the fact that Gasly beat him pretty badly last year, that's why he's so low on this list. At 11th, Nico Hülkenberg. He had a brilliant end to 2024, a bunch of points placing finishes in a Haas nonetheless, and that's very impressive. Obviously the better driver between himself and Kevin Magnussen, but is he on the same level as a Piastri or a Lando Norris? I don't think so. I would love to see him get that podium. That would be fantastic. I'm sure everybody wants that, but I wouldn't count on it given the fact he's driving a Sauber this year. At number 10, starting our Tier 3 list, Alex Albon. Honestly, I think his stock dropped once Colapinto joined the team last year. He was always compared to Latifi and Logan Sargent, who he completely annihilated. He beat them as bad or worse than George Russell did when he was with Williams. And so it made him look really, really good. But then once Colapinto joined, he didn't look quite as strong. Now, either that's big props to Franco, or maybe Alex got a little complacent with this lower level of talent. And, once he had someone comparable to him, it didn't look as good. I don't really know. Plus, Alex Albon had his share of big crashes that cost the team millions. So, with all that, I think that's why I put him at the bottom of the Tier 3 list. I think he still has plenty of speed in him. And this year, going against Carlos Sainz is going to be a proper test, a fair test. Because so far in his Formula One career, he has always gone against teammates that are on each end of the spectrum. Latifi and Logan Sargent on one hand, and Max Verstappen on the other. At number 9, Pierre Gasly. And honestly, this might be too high for him. He had an MVP season in 2021. He was lousy in 2022. He did okay in 2023. And he had a good season in 2024. So which Pierre Gasly are we going to get this year? Given that uncertainty, 9th is as good as he can be on this list. Which, again, might be too high. 8th place, Oscar Piastri, where he finished 3rd in last year's championship. I think he showed a very level head, a lot of composure, and a lot of people are going to rank him higher than 8th place on this list. However, he did have the best car, in some cases, a dominant car, and yet just 2 wins and 82 points behind his teammates, Lando Norris. That's a lot. So, I think he still lacks that outright speed, at least compared to Lando, and I think maybe a little bit of consistency as well. The positive is he's very young. He's certainly getting better, so he has a very bright future, but as of this moment, before the 2025 season gets started, I think 8th place is justified. George Russell, he had a great 2024 season. He dominated the head-to-head comparison in qualifying against Lewis Hamilton. He even had a race victory stripped away at Spa, which Lewis inherited, So that points gap against Lewis would actually be bigger if it wasn't for that. And yet only 7th on the list. Why? I think he still struggles a bit with the wheel-to-wheel racing. He still makes some silly mistakes on his own doing, sometimes quite costly. And I don't think he maximizes the races as well as several other drivers. 2025, he should have number 1 status within the team, given his experience and his teammates now a rookie. So I'm really interested to see how well he will do. I expect him to be the best George we've ever seen. So just how good can he be? I think we should find out this year. Number 6, Carlos Sainz. I don't think he gets the credit that he deserves. During his time at Ferrari, he has never been wrecked by Charles Leclerc, and Charles is obviously one of the fastest drivers in Formula One, and yet Carlos is usually right there. Last year, Charles won that head-to-head qualifying battle 12-8, when you exclude the races where one of them had a problem, whether it's maybe a penalty or a mechanical issue, whatever. The average qualifying position for Leclerc was 4.77 and 5.0 for Carlos Sainz, so he's very quick. He still makes his odd mistake here and there, but overall, I think he is an asset to any team he drives for. Getting into the Tier 2 list, which are the elite drivers. At number 5, Lewis Hamilton. Now, this might surprise some of you, but one could make the argument that perhaps Lewis Hamilton isn't even a Tier 2 driver anymore, or at least should be behind the likes of George Russell or Carlos Sainz. And that may be true if you look at Lewis's 2024 season alone, which wasn't his best to say the least. I believe that Lewis was the 3rd best driver in 2023. He definitely was much better than George in the second half of 2022. So even though in 2024 Lewis's qualifying was uninspiring, he still gets the job done at the end of the day, which is the most important part. Now, of course, some people are going to say that Lewis is still the best driver out there, but I think those people are looking at Lewis's career as a whole, the whole statistics, while we should be looking at how he's doing at this moment in time, which is the point of this video. Lando Norris. Now, I'm expecting some hate on this one, because how is the guy that finished 2nd in the championship and had his share of wheel-to-wheel battles with champion Max Verstappen only 4th on this list? He had the best car since Miami. And if you have the best car, you're supposed to win the race. He won 4 races last year. And how many times did he start on pole and he couldn't even keep first place by the end of the first lap? You know what I'm saying? Now, he is 4th on this list for a reason. He has plenty of speed, great pace. He is maturing a lot, and he is getting the results, which is fantastic. I think we all believe in Lando Norris's potential, but we have to be realistic for what he has actually done. Fernando Alonso. Believe it or not, he is still one of the best drivers out there. Why? Because no matter the day, no matter the track, the weather, the conditions of the car, he will always deliver a result. 9 times out of 10, he will get the maximum out of what that car can deliver, often far exceeding anybody's expectations. He might be the best driver of all time when it comes to getting the most out of a car week in and week out. It's incredible. Now, I don't think he has the outright speed anymore, but when it comes to racecraft, he might still be the best on the grid. Give him a good car, and we will see him on the podium just like we did in 2023, maybe even a victory. Who knows? Charles Leclerc. When he is on his game, he is as fast as anybody in Formula One history. Qualifying is unquestionably his biggest strength. And while he has struggled to translate those poles into victories, I think he's getting better at balancing that crazy raw pace of his with tire management, fuel management, staying on the track, and just a more consistent race pace. And that is giving him better and better results. So I think he's continuing to improve. He was by far the 2nd best driver of 2024. He was by far the 2nd best driver of 2022. So he absolutely deserves to be 2nd on this list. Tier 1, number 1, Max Verstappen. Yep, he is still in a league of his own. On most days, he is still the fastest driver out there. His race pace is unmatched. He can get speed out of a car that's difficult to drive that other drivers just cannot do. And he gets a result out of it. Sometimes a win. It's crazy. Tire management, fuel management, consistency, they're all strengths of his. And of course, his mental game is completely unrivaled. He is the whole package. Now, he's still willing to go over the limit when it comes to wheel-to-wheel racing. And perhaps you could say that is the mentality of a champion. But I think that's still something that he can improve upon. Regardless, he is the best driver in Formula One. No doubt. So that's it. The 2025 rankings before the season gets started. Do you agree with this list? Do you not agree with it? If not, who should be where and why? Leave a comment. And of course, smash that like button, subscribe, and as always, thanks for watching.